you. This is Brother Salih from the Zeptepi Institute out at Battery Park in Old Newcastle, Delaware. I came out today to get a walk, and it dawned on me that I should drop a little something out on my little YouTube page today. Um, First, what I want to talk about is the fact that we're in a promised covenant relationship. That our relationship was prophesied in Scripture with Allah. That God would come to a people that was uh, made to serve another people for 400 years, that he would come and appear amongst them. And we've experienced that by the coming of Master Farad Muhammad, him raising his messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, amongst us, and then him preparing for us a guide in the person of Minister Louis Farrakhan. Um, and so we're in this covenant relationship, and it is also prophecy. But a covenant usually implies some contractual thing that you got to do in order to receive the benefit of that relationship. Now, the relationship is supposed to give us rulership in the world, to raise us up to be God's people and to be the standard bearer for the world. Now, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has put out there that we really need to start, not yesterday, but today, immediately, practicing regular prayer, making prayer 5 times a day, following the restrictive law or submitting ourselves to the restrictive law completely, following the dietary provision of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, eating 1 meal a day, practicing charity and sacrifice for the cause, and working in the cause, working to try to raise up and save our people. This is our duty to God as a part of the covenant that we've been established. And if we do these things, we'll experience what you call an alignment. Now, an alignment is when you become, the whole Muslim thing is about becoming one with Allah. When you line up with Allah, then it's no longer your power or your ego or that part of you that's the man or the world, but it's the divine being that's in you that then begins to manifest through your life into the lives of other people and bringing about the will of Allah, which is his kingdom in the earth. Now, I want to emphasize something because the minister has given us just about the whole thing. Now, there's one other area that I feel responsible for spreading and trying to teach on because I don't see it as being really covered, and that is with our breath. If you look in the problem book, you'll see that as well as the questions that had to do with our diet, there were also questions about how we breathe and how the way we breathe causes us to have all these problems with blood pressure, all the other physical ailments that are destroying and killing our people. But most of all, stress. Now, one of the most important things that I believe that has to be added to our current, prescription for health is the learning how to do diaphragmatic breathing and learning how to find the rhythm of breath and use the rhythm of breath to get into different states of consciousness that only can be experienced from inside, not outside. So we're talking about an inside job. When we start talking about engaging in what we call trance or meditative trance, and we're talking about using the rhythm of our breath, increasing the volume of oxygen that comes in, extending the length of the breath, actually beginning to change the way we breathe, then we're talking about other changes in your body. Think about it. Your metabolism is based on how you're breathing. If you slow down your breathing and increase the oxygen, will you not change your metabolism? Of course you will. So those of you that's been involved in meditation, you probably can hear what I'm saying. But I think it's real important that we start begin a program of certain meditative practices in our regimen or in our daily activity that will help us develop. one of the Egyptians, ancient Egyptians, had a system of meditation they called Min-Ab, right? And what they used to do was, anytime they thought they were out of order, they would slow down their breath and do diaphragmatic breathing. Anytime that they would think about it, they would slow down the breath and do diaphragmatic breathing. And what they said was that this would cause them to become centered. Now, if you ever shot a gun or did anything to concentrate, the first thing you do is slow your breathing down so you can concentrate and focus. Well, when you begin to practice breathing exercises that create certain rhythms in your breath and your breath rate, right? When you close your eyes, you'll feel and experience different places in your conscious existence. Right now, our experience is totally outside of ourselves. The only time we experience inside of ourselves is when we're asleep. But imagine if you got into the practice of going into self and then receiving from the source of oneself that information that's necessary for you to be successful in the world. And that's how the scripture says, seek ye first the kingdom and all of its righteousness, and all other things add unto you. If we begin to live our lives by going into self and seeking the answers and directions, it'll begin to change everything for us. I'm gonna just point one thing out, right? In the scripture, in the Old Testament, and dealing with Moses, right? When they came up out of Egypt, right? God gave them directions. First, God gave them the tablets of the law, okay? And then there was a time when they were stung by snakes or scorpions or something. I forget what it was, right? But he directed them to build what they called an Ashishtin, right? Which was a staff with a serpent winding up it. And every time that they looked at the serpent, it would begin to heal them. Now, this Neshishtin and the tablet being in this Ark of the Covenant is a symbol of you and I. Because when you are actually lined up with the principles of the restrictive law, and when you are actually raising consciousness and raising the vital energies of your being, then the next place or the next stop is what they call in that symbolism the mercy seat. And it said that God appeared at the mercy seat. And what it showed is that it had 4 cherubims surrounding the mercy seat. Now, the word cherubim, right, it's the mighty angel that covereth, right? It's seen as being stretched out before God. And that's what they say Lucifer was. He was the mighty angel, the great cherubim, the mighty angel, the cherubim of light. And when you understand this, you'll see that our perception, the sense of shining intelligence or our consciousness is at the center, but our perception surrounds the center of consciousness and therefore controls our reality or how we see our reality. Well, the Shishtin is the symbolic of raising up to meet this mercy seat so that we can then line up with Allah, and then our perimeter or that which is around us is no longer the limited one that we have, but we be brought under the tent of Allah's vision, where we're no longer guided by just our vision, but Allah will guide us through ourself or the source of ourself or our soul. These are just things to think about. We'll try to get into some more later. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Saleh speaking to you.